Right, we're doing it. Night at the Museum. You have
Phenomenal movie, by the
to.
way.
Phenomenal movie. Is it
Like,
actually
all
good?
three are phenomenal.
The rule is you're not allowed to put the can down unless you're finished with it, and then you immediately have to start on the next one.
Jesus fucking Christ. 11%? No one told me this was 11 fucking percent.
Yeah, dude, that's why we got so drunk the last time.
Fucking Christ.
This is an easy challenge episode. This is easy.
Well, how many do I have to fucking finish?
2. You're
okay,
gonna do
that's
2.
fine,
I'm gonna
that's
do
fine.
2. Yeah.
I can handle that. It tastes like... it doesn't taste... I mean, for how high of a percentage it is,
Dude,
it doesn't taste...
pretty good. So
bad.
This is Lord Hobo Museum Triple IPA, a Trippa.
It certainly doesn't taste good. The problem with how strong... The only problem I have with... Because whenever I get drunk off IPAs, there's sort of like a... There's a very, like belchy hangover. And that happens no matter what. But the ones that really push it, like the 9, 10, 11 percenters, I can taste them in my mouth for like 48 hours.
Yeah,
which sucks.
We need to clear this
So,
out somehow.
Yeah, I don't know if I need to invest in gum
I
or...
think I have some gum. We can work something out.
I don't know. Because I'll like brush my teeth and still fucking taste it. Which
I think it's in your head.
We texted about this last time we drank, and you're like, we said this.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right. But I retract my further statement, and now I think you're wrong.
Fair enough.
So I wanted to ask you a question about politics, and I've been thinking a lot about this recently. But I used to work under the assumption that like the reason why people to the right of center, people to the left of center, so like right wing versus like liberal conservative, I don't want to define it that rigidly, but the reason why their opinions were so different was mostly a function of information they were exposed to and like the kind of people they surrounded themselves with, not like an actual differing like underlying ethical system.
Yeah.
Would you tend to agree with that?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been having some second thoughts here where so follow-up question, how well defined do you think the average person's like means of like ethical system is?
I don't know. That sort of works on the assumption that we've got ethics figured out, which is tricky. But I don't know. I think it's less, in my opinion, it's less about an ethical system or whatever. People will say all the time, certain people's morals or whatever, which is just absolutely silly thing to say, because the only way to talk about morals or ethics or whatever are to talk about them as possible true or false statements, not opinions. So talking about them person to person would be like, be like saying Alex's dogs versus Chris's dogs mean different. Like,
yeah,
you're talking.
Yeah.
So I get that's not what you're getting at, but it's tricky to even get much deeper than that because of that problem. But it's also on the flip side of things. It's not like we have a generally understood shit. My dating apps be popping off. Look at me go. They're probably both like, Chris, get more matches by paying. Yep, that's what both of them are.
That's good. All right, now don't put the fucking beer down.
Oh yeah.
You
Well,
already
I
broke
got
the
a
rule.
notification from fucking Bumble, bro. That was worthy.
Is Bumble good? What do you think of Bumble? as
Bumble,
opposed to Tinder?
Hinge is clear number 1. Bumble is a fine number 2. Tinder is not usable.
Really?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
It has the most, like, I just call them bots. They're not like robots, but just like people trying to like people trying to scam you in some way. It has the most scammers, and it also just has the lowest percentage of like unless you pay, you just like your profile never gets seen. So if I'm actively using Tinder, I'll get like a match or 2 a week or something. Whereas with Hinge, if I'm active about it, I can pretty much like get 1 or 2 every day. And Hinge is like the way you match is by starting a conversation with someone. Like it has to be like you respond to their prompt, or I don't know if you're on it or not, but so it's just so much better in every possible way. And Bumble is nice because you get a very limited number of swipe rights. Ooh, voice crack. So you're not wasting like 20 minutes of your day just like swiping. Like you've only got a few. And so you don't get a ton of matches, but when you do, it's like the premise of it is that the girl has to message first. So then it just like it takes it's not like it takes the pressure off of like trying to like have an epic intro or whatever, but it's just like then it's just like it's obvious to me who's real and who's not, and like who's if they're like, hey sexy, like the first message, like hey babe, how you doing, or whatever, like way too flirty. It just like it makes it easy to just be like, oh no, bye. But I haven't been that active on dating apps recently. I go through streaks. I get really into it or I don't. But anyways, back to the question. I think it's more a question of like, how similar are we as human beings? Like, what is the essence of human nature of like babies just being born out of the womb? Like, what's our, generally speaking, what would human nature be like outside of the constructs of whatever? Which is funny because I think I went on a rant last pod being like, people who say you can only understand this thing if you like take it outside of the constructs of the world are idiots, which is exactly what I'm saying. But my point is, fuck. It's like I can't think with a drink in my hand, which doesn't make any sense.
You need both hands free to be able to think, or at least one hand free to think clearly.
I guess my point is that, or just my belief is that people are more similar in their in human nature. We're more similar than we are. God, I sound like a fucking politician. We're more similar than we are different.
We are all the same.
Yeah, but like actually, that's what I believe.
Together.
I don't think that like for instance, like I think that things.
Obama.
I think things like conceptions of like the other and like prejudices and shit like can only come in the context of like civilization and communities where there's like where there's a possibility for an us versus them type thing. And so I think that's all situational based. I genuinely am a believer that no human being born into if you imagine a truly like imagine like an I'm using a thought experiment here, but like a true like not even anarchy, but I guess just like a system where there's like there's a total lack of government and there's no laws and whatever. Like I don't think many people would grow up in that system, and like it would be hard to imagine like something like the KKK or anti-gay bias or things like that. Like I don't think that we would be as prone to that. I think that stuff is much more comes out of just anger and or not whatever, but just like the community you're surrounded with.
When you say like a lack of laws, do you mean like exclusively like a lack of a formalized legal code, or are you including like societal norms in that? Because I don't know if you've read fucking Graeber and Wingrove's new book, R.I.P. by the way, but they talk about like societies that don't so much have like a formalized like legal code, but do have fairly strong like social norms.
Yeah, no, I'm including that in it.
Okay.
I'm basically saying lack of community. Like there's no, you don't. It's impossible because we're naturally communal animals. So I'm not saying this is possible, but I'm more imagining a society where you're just like born into like the fucking wilderness or whatever, and there's just like people around you in all different directions, and you don't like it would require so much. The problem is, in order to understand it, it would require so much lack of knowledge that it's almost not believable. Like to have no conception of like east, west, north, south, like thinking of someone who lives this direction versus that direction as being different or having different communal norms and whatever. Like I'm just imagining like it's just like there's just like families that are just like scattered everywhere.
Yeah. But even families though, those could.
Yeah, no. There's no way for it to really to. I guess I'm more just like it. Maybe the only way for this to come about is like just imagine like if humans were extinct and like 20 humans just were snapped into existence tomorrow and they all look different. I don't think that there would be much of an us versus them tendency, except for when it comes time for when like people feel unless they feel threatened by some external thing where there's like a worry about getting enough food, getting enough shelter, whatever. Like when those shits start to happen, then we get into our problems.
You're probably right. I feel like in this kind of absurd example where just like 20 people are snapped into a world without any people in it, I think very quickly there actually would be kind of like an in-group, out-group formation. I don't know why I feel that way. I'm not sure.
I guess I just disagree, and I'm not sure that there's no. I don't. The thought experiment is kind of dumb because like you can't go anywhere with it.
I don't know. I'm just thinking about like the group we were both a part of in college, where one of the values was ostensibly unity, but it was like you saw like kind of fiefdoms emerge or like social subgroups butting heads with other social subgroups.
Yeah, but there's a. It's not to say that certain groups of people. It's not incompatible with like it. Just you can have a group of people who you're closer with, and people who you like care about more, and people you protect more, and would always have their back versus others. Doesn't mean you're like prejudiced or prone to it.
But to me, it's almost like a question of like what is the depth of the moat. Because like you dig in that difference for long enough and hard enough, and it's like in the event of external pressures, like I know who I'm siding with in that case, and I know who I'm fucking throwing under the bus in that case. So it's just like all it takes is kind of like an inciting incident, and then it's.
Well, but is that inherently a problem or a bad thing?
No, I don't think so. I think that's I view that as kind of like a neutral thing. But I
would say it's the only way for good to it. I don't think like this was one of the things that Plato got criticized to shit for was his belief that like the only way to have a fair and equal society was to basically banish anything which inherently brought about with it any notion of like an us and an other. So it meant like marriage gonzoed, raising kids by the parents gonzoed. The whole community raises all the children equally. Like when a kid is born, like they're just taken from the mother, put into a pile of babies and raised, and like everyone's schooled, and then like and his it came down to this like, and we see it today, right? This like right-wing total myth of just like whoever is naturally better at X will naturally end up on top doing that.
Yeah, the myth of the complete meritocracy.
Yeah, right? yeah, which is never possible. And so that was like one of the points in that was like sort of the extreme of when you're studying philosophical, the history of ethics, like where this notion of equality between people was so foreign and new that it started to grow and grow and grow until it got to that point. And then we were like, wait a minute. This doesn't like this would actually result in at least we think would it first off it's probably impossible. I mean, I think that the human nature of like separating like baby from mother is never, no matter what the norm is, no matter how long that system exists, like have fun getting that to ever be like, moms being like, yeah, cool, I'm cool with that.
Like, yeah, I guess.
Whatever, unless you like raise them in a lab or something. I don't know. Maybe we have the technology to do that now. Actually, we do, but
we have the technology.
Do we have the technology to do that? To like fully raise it outside?
No, you need a surrogate mother.
You need a mom. Yeah.
You need to implant.
We don't have
the fucking proto fetus in.
We don't have a womb. But you know what is weird though is that never mind. It's not important. So.
No, go for it.
No. It's genuinely just boring. So I just had a unique anecdotal experience of a neighbor who just like appeared one day with a new child. Like she never showed any signs of being pregnant, and she had it, but it wasn't an adopted child. It was a biological child.
Yeah, it's probably a surrogate, right?
Yeah, so I think it was another mom who.
Because you can have the sperm fertilize the egg and then basically like implant that into another,
but like what,
like woman's womb.
She must have some medical thing.
I mean, yeah, there's like it's like a medical thing where you're not capable of carrying a pregnancy to term, but like you do have like eggs.
And so do they just pay a just gross amount of money to like?
Yeah.
What would be a woman's incentive to do that?
Yeah, it's just basically like money and like, hey, I'm willing to carry the baby to term for you. It does happen.
Yeah.
A miracle of modern science. It's pretty weird when you think about it, but like, hey, I mean,
yeah, no, I don't like it.
it's
I don't like it
it's
at
kind of
all.
like it's very strange. It feels intuitively very strange.
Yeah. Shit. See, the reason I didn't want to go down this route is because I forgot where I was going. So I don't know where was I going. Something to do with human beings and human nature and something.
We are all human beings. We are all the same, or something. I don't know.
But we don't have to. We're not all the fucking same.
Except for the LGBTQ, they're groomers.
Yeah, they're pedophiles.
Dude, this is getting. I don't know if the discourse around this is getting ridiculous.
Oh,
it's like
genuinely
beyond
absurd.
parody.
Yeah, no, it's. Well, this is like I'm at a point where like I just think like. I think it's going to be sooner rather than later that the American system just falls apart. Wow,
that escalated quickly. I don't know about that, dude. I mean, it's the same kind of like, it's the same dialogue that we had around gay marriage like 20 years ago, and it's all happening again. Like, it's just that, you know.
But I think people are, as technology increases and whatever, we have more and more access to being online and keeping up to date with every single news story and all this shit. Like, if the discourse isn't getting better and the quality of life of the majority of people continues to decline, then what else is gonna?
Yeah, I mean, maybe
I wouldn't place money on it, but like, would it shock me if in our lifetimes like the whole fucking thing came crumbling down? No.
I guess it wouldn't shock me. You know, maybe it'd be for the best. Maybe it needs to crumble down and we can create something better. That being said,
I'm becoming more and more sympathetic to accelerationism. Just fucking get this. Well, no, not really, because
Dude,
I don't actually believe in doing bad things in order to get to the. I fucking hate the people who are like
fundamentally a Deleuzian idea, by the way.
Yeah.
My latest obsession.
Are you saying he came up with it, or that's fundamental to his belief system?
I'm saying his belief system could just. Now I'm trying to remember if that's Deleuze or Fisher. I don't think it's Fisher.
Fisher sucks. I
Dude,
remember reading Fisher.
I don't know. I listened to a Fisher lecture because I was really bored the other day, where he's like, like fucking culture keeps imitating 20th century culture, and is like, this is the most like boomer screams at cloud thing ever. Like, there are subcultures that I think the difference is that it's all online now.
Yeah.
And we're so kind of comparatively early in the 21st century that we have yet to see how kind of these things will play out. But I don't know, dude. Fisher in that lecture did not make a phenomenal impression on me. And I don't think he's entirely wrong. I think like there is kind of a degree of cultural stagnation. But I don't think he's entirely right either, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. To get back to sort of the original thing, I'm probably a little bit too forgiving to right-wingers or whoever, but I just like I fundamentally believe to my core that like the vast majority of people born into a circumstance where they're like poor, surrounded by super Christian conservative family and like the norms of their families that you basically only ever socialize with your giant ass family, like the Southern Christian shit. And I think of a friend I had in high school, and he's like the prototype of this in my head. Like I fundamentally believe that had I been born into his situation, that I would be like a right winger, like a Christian right winger. And I think that it's so much more a nature of circumstance than it is about, I don't know, someone's smartness and understanding and caring and compassion coming out. Because the irony of there are just like bad actors and people who just have bad intentions, and they exist.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of like Southern Christian conservative, or not even, whatever, just like conservative people who I think are wrong on a lot of things, whatever, have many aspects and traits about them that are very like loving and caring, and like the loyalty they
Isn't
have
that
to
the weird thing about
they have.
them.
Well,
Yeah.
but that's where I really just believe it's about it's the nature of just not. I think it would be interesting to get my friend to hop up on the pod, because he's probably more socially. He's probably he's not like politically further left than I am, but like he cares about like he's so, because of like how he was raised and what he believed moving up to New Hampshire and where he is now, and just like being very, against gay marriage, very homophobic, transphobic, everything about him. Like he's so, I think on some level he's so embarrassed about who he was, that like he talks about those things more. Like whenever we catch up, like he's more inclined to bring up those kinds of conversations and talk about the issues that he sees down, because he's back living in the South now, and and those, I mean, he lives in whatever, but he's just like, he is, and I mean this with everything, like he is the most loyal person I've ever met in my life. Like the just never once in my friendship with him did he ever like cancel, not show up to something on time. Like I was always that, like, and it wasn't even because I was being a shitty friend. It was just like he was raised to be so fucking like, we do not show disrespect to the people who are, if they're in your life, like you will respect them.
Yeah.
And that is how, and he, so much of what he was raised with, and it gave, like, he has incredible work ethic, is super loving, and just like will protect his family to the fucking death, like a lot of them will. But like, and just so much, was able to just justify so much stuff in his head without really thinking about it, as like, they're just going against God's path, and if they can just come to Jesus, they'll realize that this is how we love each other, and this is how we be a community, is by all believing the same bullshit, but so many of them are just so, if you get them talking to like each other, or they're in a space where they're comfortable or whatever, like they're just so, I don't know, people from the South a lot of the time are just so like friendly when you have conversations with them. And I'm like, I could easily be a conservative white dude. So I have that massive thing of privilege where I can, no one sees me and like inherently knows my politics or can make any whatever. Like I can come across as being from anywhere, and I have that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like, I don't know. I don't like, I just get that. That's like the thing in politics that frustrates me the most, is people who think that they're, people who are on the right side of things, but think that they're better than those who are not. It's just across the board. It just, that's what irks me the most. I don't know why exactly, but that is. So yeah, I'm a huge on the like circumstance and nature and all that shit.
And it's I feel like talking to some people on the left of center, it for me turns into a very weird conversation where it's like, I was like, I could imagine things having gone slightly differently, and I ended up like as some kind of like douchebag right winger. It's almost like being able to recognize, I don't want to say like evil, because that's kind of trite within yourself, but like a kind of like a maliciousness and like a shadow within yourself. And there's some people I talk to where they're just like, they're completely incapable of recognizing that, like, oh, I'm capable of like doing or believing like a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just like, sometimes feels like a disconnect.
Yeah. I mean, I think the two of us exist on a, and some of this is, it's hard to know exactly how much of this is just the nature of like our families and how we were raised versus something
Mm-hmm.
inherent about who we are. But there are, we make the meme all the time, but there are people, the up here, down there thing, like one of the crucial aspects of that is people who are genuinely self-aware versus people who aren't and can sort of self-reflect. Like I think that is the crucial
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so some people just aren't, and it's not inherently a bad thing, but they just don't have that self-reflection and the whole like put yourself in the other person's shoes. Like they've never genuinely like really done that. Of like being like okay,
really
like
thought about
if I had like when people get in an argument with each other, like there's a lot of people out there, one of my favorite things that the professor at where we went to school said, and I don't even remember the context he said it in, but it was in a philosophy class, and I think that this just gets at it. I thought it got at it so well, which is where he said for whatever reason, we have this tendency as human beings to judge others. I think it was talking about consequentialism, and so he was criticizing it. He's saying we have a tendency to judge others by the results of their actions and ourselves and we judge ourselves on our intentions, not the results. So if we had good intentions, we think that it's unfair of people to criticize us, and that gets at the heart of so many arguments.
It really does, dude.
And so I think that there are some people who naturally, without that phrasing, some people naturally can kind of say like, all right, let me flip the roles in my head here. Like it's not to say you don't get mad and you don't say stupid things and you don't get lost in the heat, but you reflect on them.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point where like I feel like I can, and so when I get in a disagreement with someone who I don't think is capable, like there's nowhere to go, and
it's almost like there's no more conversation to be had. Like where do you run that into?
Yeah, there's nowhere to, because people will get so, and it's like the basis of like so much, like when you think about like, and this is what frankly is one of the hardest things for me about working and just anywhere I've worked, because I think this is a universal truth in United States culture of workplace. Like a lot of people don't like work. No surprise, right? And so one of the things that we do as human beings is look for reasons to come together with other people who we think are in similar circumstance and complain about, or find reasons to say that like, here's why my work is shit or whatever. And so there's the dynamic of, the lowest level people, the mid-level people, the senior level people, always just sort of like gossiping and complaining about people at other levels who they don't interact with much, like basically being like, oh, these people they don't care about us. They don't care about how this place is run.
Gee, I wonder why.
Like they don't, whatever. And you see it on both sides. And I'm someone who, when I think about when I worked at the grocery store, like I'm just a very quiet person. Like I don't, it's not that I'm above getting pissed at employees, but I just never like I feel really shitty about myself whenever I engage in the drama, and I get way too nervous that somehow like someone's going to say something to the other person. Like I just can't do it. I'm not, and it's not because I'm above it. Like I get pissed at my coworkers for doing stupid shit the same. It's just that I don't know. But what that did for me was sort of, I was like, I evolved into this weird person where like the managing people at the grocery store I worked at would talk to me about like what other cashiers were doing, and the cashiers would talk to me about the managers and shit. And so and you see like so much of it comes down to that very thing where there's just an assumption of, the managers, there's an assumption of laziness, an assumption of always trying to do the least amount of work possible, an assumption of this, that, and the other thing. And then on the flip side of things, there's, people working at the cash register or just like, the fucking managers sit in their office on the computer all day, and then they come out and tell me to fucking get off my phone. They can fuck off. And like, they're just hypocritical assholes who are, they're just jerks, and they don't. What it's just saying, we complain about, and I tend to be on the side of like working people. Like I think that the cashiers, like their lives are just so much harder, and and I get, some people in the managing class can get lost in the like. It's very easy to get lost in the like. I'm here because I've put in more work than them.
Yeah.
And that's not a problem with them, but it's very easy to get lost. And so this is where the disconnect, it just appears everywhere. And like, I hate it. I really hate it. And so when my fucking manager, who drives me nuts, but there'll be times where he will start complaining to me about other people at work. And I'm like, dude, like, on the one hand, I just don't fucking care. But on the other hand, I'm like, I say this as someone who's like seriously antisocial and has like social anxiety. But if we just could fucking like just take a tenth of the time that we spend complaining about the other, and this is where I sound like Dave Rubin, which I hate, but just like go and talk to the person and just like
understand.
Just we don't know how to bring up tense subjects without it being argumentative. Like there doesn't have to be. We don't know how to do it.
It's almost like the human, like the fight or flight reflex really does just get in the way of us having like productive conversations. But I don't know if you felt this, but like it to some extent have some like physical fighting experience, and the physical sensation of like you're getting into an argument with someone, and all of a sudden like you have like butterflies in your stomach, like the adrenaline like pumps up a little bit. And it makes it very hard to be as like logical and like removed as you'd like to be in having the argument. So it's almost like we're just not wired for having these kind of like tense conversations. Like it actually is a fight against like our biology.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense, and it's probably true. And I'm not sure that there's really much hope of like. That shit's kind of always exists.
This is why we got to embrace transhumanism, dude. We got to augment our brains with computer chips that suppress fucking adrenaline production in cases of pure logical discourse, and we got to become more. We got to become more than human.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just think that like. I don't know. It's such a losing battle. Like when I allow myself to get super revved up by all these things, it puts me in such a bad mental state that I genuinely like. I can only kind of come to peace with life when I'm not that not spending that much time thinking about these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so getting lost in something that I care about that's sort of. It's not, logic and thinking based. I don't like. It's the only way I can. I don't know. I just like. I don't think that it's. It sucks, but it seems like, the human beings have this just absolute. It's like more than a want. It's like a need to learn more things and to. Whatever, and it's part of why we're
continue to understand the world.
But I think that just given the nature of human biology and how we've evolved and this, that, and the other thing, like it's sort of on some level it's not fully compatible with like well-being, for lack of a better phrase. And so it sucks. I don't think it's an either or. I don't think it's that obvious, but I don't know.
I really think, and I have some views on transhumanism, but like I really think is that like we have run into the limits of our biology, like kind of limiting our ability to progress in some ways, and I think in some ways like we've managed to overcome that. Like any kind of psychiatric medication is, in my view, kind of like vaguely or at least peripherally transhumanist. But I think we fully need to embrace it as we move into kind of like the remainder of this century. It's just like our brains aren't cut out for the world that we've built. So either we return to monkey, which I am diametrically opposed to. I think that's silly. Or we embrace what we've become and seek to become more. And circumvent. But also I'm biased because I'm
Well, I do think it's a very one thing I think about is like when you think about depression and mental health and all these things that people our age are talking about nonstop.
Mhm.
When we've reached a point societally where so much of the cause of these things in our society, where relative to the rest of the world and relative to the history of humanity, our lives are so easy
Yeah.
and this, that, and the other thing, where like it's almost in a way it's like the cause of our problems is how much access we have to fun and happy things.
Yeah.
That
It's almost like Maslow's hierarchy of needs has been too fulfilled.
Yeah. So I think I'm like, is that when I think of like things that sound like sort of dystopian society just destroyers, that seems like the recipe for a problem. And so, when I think about like the anxiety I have and my brain running and this, that, and the other thing, and every once in a while, like I step back and think, and I'm like, all right, like I've been on a screen for 11 hours today, and some of that's just like my job is to be on screens all day, and some of it's like all the music I do, it's like it's on a fucking screen. But yeah, I mean, it raises some interesting questions with how to deal with it, and I do think that recognizing that it's like if we just pretend if we need to like come together and acknowledge that this is like we don't want to get rid of it because of the things that it does provide, but it's inherently a problem, and we just need to be like, all right, we need to, whether it's medication or whatever, like there needs to be some. We can't just be like, go figure it out.
This is such a tech bro thing to say, but almost like the firmware is like 10,000 years out of date. Is it between like 10,000? It's 10,000 years out of date, and it's like fucking 50 years really out of date. But I think that's just like what we're running into is in my mind, like as an anxious person, my brain is constantly doing the thing is like, where's the fucking tiger of just this staying on edge about like what in nature's gonna fuck me next, and the reality is that like there's probably actually nothing.
Yeah. Have you ever gone on a hiking trip or something where like for at minimum a week or two, like there's it's not even like you don't even have electricity?
Yeah, I went 2 weeks.
It's genuinely mind blowing. It's almost like it's almost like the experience of doing a pretty strong drug. The difference in mental state.
Yes.
When you're removed from it for a couple days and you get through the initial phase of like it's like withdrawal.
Yeah.
Like the first couple of days, and then it's one of those things where like when I've done that, I've done a couple of those hikes or whatever, and I did it every summer, or not every summer, but for a couple of summers in high school, and it is the only time I can remember since I was a little kid where I didn't have anxiety.
It's because I think it's because the demands on your psyche have become strictly material.
Yeah.
It's like we have to hike this far today. Like I have to make sure I get this amount of food. I have to make sure I'm like, dry and I don't fucking, get hypothermia or whatever. It's just like the limits have there's very clear limits on your physical existence, I guess.
Yeah. And so recognizing that like what we've got it's just not compatible with that way of living, but also recognizing that like return to monk
Return to Monka is not viable. We can't do it.
We can't do it. So it's either like human extinction, we all kill each other, or we need to find some fucking way to be like, I don't know.
Like, I profoundly reject human extinction. What a fucking defeatist attitude, dude. Fight till the end, no matter what.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I mean on a logical level, human extinction's inevitable.
Yeah, maybe not. What if not, dude?
What if not?
What if we are? This is it, man. We are the universe observing itself. We need to transcend.
I don't fucking know. I get so lost in the like. it all comes down to like if we could just understand. I want to understand how anything.
How anything?
Just like not even like not how not like a. Ooh, this was one of my philosophy things. There's like 4 different kinds of how. There's like no, or 4 different kinds of, or there's like lots of different kinds of knowledge. There's like no how, no to, whatever the fuck. Not like no on a technical level how. Just like give me the fucking cliff notes of like how.
What is being?
Well, yeah, how does anything exist? It seems like, because I don't know. There's some level of just like underlying anxiety for everyone where there's just like there is a absolute need to understand how any of this came to be.
Or how any of this is. You ever think
Yeah.
about that? It's just like we get down to the smallest particles and then it's like the Planck length and it's like beyond that is like we don't really know. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
dude. It just really it fucks me up.
Yeah, it really fucks me up. And so that's when I start thinking about it a lot. I don't know. I don't do well.
I don't do well.
I don't. It really gets to me. And so, because then I'm like, everything I do is just fucking it's meaningless or whatever. Which it isn't, and I don't believe that, and I don't think that recognizing that we don't know the answer to those questions is inherently means things are meaningless. But it is scary when you really press someone who like hasn't maybe gone that in depth on these things before, and you get them to finally start to like, for the first time, start coming to grips with this like how much like randomness is involved in all of this, and they're like seeing a person kind of for the first time being like, well, what's the point in any of this? It's kind of heartbreaking. Like it's really sad.
Is, yeah. It's like you have finally reached the realization that I hit when I was 14. Welcome to my fucking world, bitch. Like here we go.
But so then it's how do we find? It's not how do we find meaning, because I think that the meaning exists regardless of us finding it.
What do you think the meaning is?
The meaning of it all. It's. I think the nature of existence is so. It's sort of like lame, and it sounds like the like conclusion of like a bad feel good movie, but it's just like the human capacity for like positive emotion and positive mental states is meaning enough as is. Our ability to feel those things is all the meaning in the world that we need. And the fact that there are people who get to experience what it is to love and be loved by other human beings, to love a certain art form, to experience anything in a positive way, that's all. I think that that's all we really need, and accepting that is hard. That there's no greater purpose to humanity, and we're not. And so yeah, I mean that's what I think it comes down to. Is just existence is a gift, and it doesn't feel like it a lot of the fucking time. But the reality of it is that like each of us existing, like it's not like we have an infinitely higher chance of winning the fucking lottery than we do of existing. And so it comes down to that thing that no one wants to hear, like after going through a breakup or something. But it's like a really true thing. It's like we can protect ourselves and hide from feeling positive things because we're scared of the negatives all we want. But we all know where that road goes. That doesn't go anywhere positive. So the capacity to feel the good things at all is so meaningful and so powerful on its own, because when you really do feel those things, you're not concerned with any of this.
Yeah. When
you're having one of those nights like with your buddies or with a partner, with your family or whatever, where things just feel right and you're with people who you want to be with, doing something you want, you're not concerned about any of that. I think that that's what the meaning of it all is.
That's funny because my answer was going to be the meaning of it all is to struggle and to overcome. But I think what you're talking about is that feeling of overcoming after the struggle. But the struggle almost necessitates the overcoming. or sorry, the overcoming, the existence of the overcoming necessitates a struggle, right? Like there has to be some difficulty, there has to be some kind of disparity there. Otherwise, like you're not going to be able to feel that.
Yeah, I think there's something there.
That's always kind of been like my view on things, is that like the struggle and the overcoming is like what's valuable.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not saying you disagree, but that obviously can be taken to an extreme where it's problematic.
Yeah. Yeah. I have recently taken that to an extreme.
Yes. But there's it's the prime example of that is that kid who we talked about a little while ago who died because his heart gave out at 20 from all his dedication to the grind set.
Like you have to understand your fundamental limits here. Like it's not there's no maybe you're right. And the key to this is there's no glory in the struggle. It's the process of the struggle and the overcoming. That's the key. It has to be both in a way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like overcoming without struggle is paradoxical. You can't overcome without a struggle.
Yeah.
But if you struggle without an overcoming, then that's just pain.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah. So it's the struggle and the overcoming, and that is the meaning, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think it's similar to the notion that, or it's similar to and it's an argument I don't like in the context that it's used, but it's similar to what Christians will say when you'll say, well, how is an omnibenevolent God compatible with suffering? And they'll say, well, we need the capacity for negative emotions in order for the capacity for positive, and the more negative we can get means on the flip side the more positive we can get. And on some level, I think that there's probably some truth to that.
But like the assignment of the God and kind of like this is all what he intends thing that's putting like too much of like a humanity behind it in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it's a silliness of thinking. There's a term for it, and I'm blanking what it is. But just like the silly assumption that God is just like some dude with like a silhouette around him who's like thinking this all the same way that we are.
Right.
Like God, if God exists, whatever the hell that means, it's thinking.
No, dude, God's a dude. God got a penis.
The idea that God has a gender, I think, is silly, but it seems absolutely insane to me to say that, because that implies that like God's purpose is to like breed or something. I don't know.
Well, God's purpose is to breed with other gods.
But then
this is why the Greek conception of deities makes more sense.
But then they're not really fucking gods. They're just people who live longer than us.
People with superpowers at that point, right?
It's just, they live fucking longer than us. Like people who, fucking. Well, I guess not, because he actually does end up dying at some point. But I was gonna say like Wolverine's more of a god than the Greek notion of a god, because their gods died, had a lifespan. They didn't believe that they were immortal beings. Yeah.
Like how long of a lifespan?
Is sort of like this notion of just like when their purpose has been fulfilled, they will no longer.
Well, if you say that like, oh, the purpose is like the heat death of the universe, then like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's just like an easy thing to make a movie villain out of someone who's like driven by the ultimate purpose.
Yeah.
Everything is purpose. It's fucking.
I'm driven by the ultimate
purpose. Agent Smith.
Yes.
Purpose. It's an interesting
Mr.
question,
Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. Yeah. I don't fucking know. On the flip side of things, we could just be like, this is fun. This is not fun.
In the words of a guy we both know, Bordai, don't get lost in the sauce. Chris is lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
Do you think Noah ever thinks about any of this?
No.
No. That's what makes him based. That's what makes him a good hang, honestly.
Yeah, that's what makes him not a fucking loser.
This is why we need a third podcast guest to like get us out of our heads. We need like John Kay to be on the podcast and be like, like you guys are fucking losers.
John Kay is a fucking loser, bro.
You know who John Kay's based.
John Kay's a fucking
Stop!
loser.
No!
He's in so much goddamn debt.
Is he really?
Because he keeps paying for fucking parties and shit. Whatever.
Dude, this guy sounds awesome. All right, well.
No, he's overweight and smells really bad.
Oh, does he smell bad? I can't deal with people who smell
He
bad.
smells really bad.
There was a girl in high school who I broke up with this girl who I was like kind of dating for, I don't know, like 18 months. And there was this one girl who was like really cute, but she smelled weird.
Yeah.
And it was so off-putting that I couldn't go through with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. People who smell bad can't deal with it.
I think everyone on some level like feels that way. Right? It's impossible to be intimate with a partner who smells bad. I don't think anyone can.
No,
if they smell aggressively bad.
No, people definitely can. It's just not you, and you can't conceptualize it because you lack.
Yeah, I
creativity.
actually can't conceptualize what
You
that's like.
genuinely can't.
I could not possibly even be like excited to engage.
No, I couldn't either.
If someone, if I'm, it's like I don't fucking know if I'm. Like kissing someone and their breath smells like anything.
Like it's incredibly off-putting.
You just can't.
Yeah, I just
do
I
it.
just can't.
It's like my fucking ex every morning would be like, I'd wake up, and the minute I would wake up, she'd just be like, Chris, I'm trying to fucking lay in bed and like have a peaceful morning. Go brush your fucking teeth, you fucking animal. Because I have terrible morning breath. So she like couldn't just like relax. Because my breath would smell so bad. And I'm like, you know what? No, very fair. Very fair. I would be pissed off too if I was like trying to have a relaxing Saturday morning and I could just smell my partner's breath. Like that's one of the just grossest things.
Yeah, that I kind of land on the opposite end of this. My ex would try to like make out in the morning and stuff, and I would be like, wait, hold on, let me go brush my teeth. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Like I couldn't do it because I was so disgusted by myself that it was like, unless I'm, clean, that I can't.
Yeah. I don't understand the female urge to kiss someone when you wake up.
The female urge.
The female urge to. It's lost on me. Like I could not possibly be fucking. Well, there's some dudes who are, but just like the hottest girl. That's probably not true, but just like I'm never like it takes me like 8 hours before I can fucking have the capacity to get horny. It's just like I can't do it.
Honestly, I think there's people out there who are more kind of like sexual beings because they're more in touch with their humanity. Like on some level, I think what it is that you kind of wish you were a post-human robot, right? You just like never get tired, never like get cognitively exhausted, perpetually ready to go. You don't embrace your humanity. The people who are like, yeah, I smell like shit, I look like shit, I got, a little bit of a tummy going on. They're embracing their humanity.
Well, I'm less concerned nowadays about the fucking tummy thing. I don't care. I mean, I don't want to be fat, but I don't. Anyways, that's a side fucking note. But I do wish if I had the option to like remove horniness from my like existence, I would 100% take it. It's a distraction.
It's a distraction.
It really is. It's not the capacity to like care about someone. Like no, I obviously I don't want to get rid of that.
Yeah.
But my like I'm not like opposed to my sex drive. I just want it like I would be happier if the world that existed where like you only like would get horned up for someone if you were like they were like your person, like you were getting married, you were
really into
you had
them.
to be really emotionally involved before you had the capacity to like get horny for someone.
Dude.
I would sign up for that in a heartbeat. Like the fucking part of me that cares about girls during the week, I want it gone. It's a distraction. I hate it.
I want to be quote unquote demisexual. I just like I don't want to be horny for anyone unless I genuinely care about them. But instead,
Yeah.
it's like I get attracted to people, and it's like they are a complete fucking train wreck, and it's like I don't care. She has a nose ring and has aggressive winged eyeliner. I'm in. Like,
Yeah, and it distracts me from this. I'll fucking spend an hour texting a girl some night instead of doing something else I could be
dude,
doing
I'm
with my
I'm
fucking
in
time.
love with an emo girl.
Yeah, you
It's that
fall
simple.
in love with emo girl. I would not even a debate. Some people get mad and like shocked at me for this take. If I had the option to just like once a week like inject myself with nutrition and never have to deal with eating again, I would
Yeah.
sign up in a heartbeat.
I would do
Dude.
the same thing with sex drive. I want to have complete control over all of my biological
Oh,
urges.
that would be sick. You could choose when so you're never like, it's like getting drunk. Like you like
Yeah.
choose when to get
Yeah,
horny.
exactly.
And you're not unless you actively choose to put it into you.
Otherwise, people are just like, yeah, like she's chill, like she's cool, she's a cool person. Versus like the unga bunga, like want to make baby. Like, I wish I could just turn that off.
Yeah. I wish I could turn all this shit off. Damn. I could think of all the music I could do.
Yeah, dude. I'm on drugs that allegedly, theoretically alter that, and it still hasn't fucking worked. So, what are you gonna do? The
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
the human urge. This is why we're transhumanists. This is now a transhumanist podcast where we encourage people to overcome their fucking biology or whatever. Biology is stupid.
Biology is fucking stupid. Fuck scientists, man. I
Fuck
fucking hate
scientists.
scientists.
You're
dude.
holding us back, except for the ones who are figuring out how to overcome biology.
Yeah.
Based.
Yeah, that
they're
should
cool.
be the only legal form of science, how to overcome our own problems.
Yeah, the only goal should be to so we can overcome this stupid bullshit that we should all become robo people.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even really need to like feel that much happiness. I just need to like have the capacity to just like focus on what I want to focus on,
Yeah.
which I guess is sort of like
But
intertwined
isn't
with.
that kind of like a form of happiness? Though?
Yeah, I guess it fucking
Like,
is. Dude, when I get but the thing is, when I think about the moments in my life where I'm like, yee, I'm happy. Like, it's like doing something that's not. It's like doing something on my own that's for me that I want to be able to do more of, and forget about my fucking dumbass biology that's making me want to have 50 babies.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
you know what, dude? I will say I was reading up on Schopenhauer last night, and that's what happens when a motherfucker gets no pussy for real, for real.
When a motherfucker gets no pussy for real, they become Isaac Newton, who died a virgin.
No, that's fake news.
No, it's not.
No, he's gay. Apparently he was actually gay, and they just like,
So he fucked men.
yeah, he fucked dudes, but he was fucking.
But
for
when
real,
you
for real.
Google, is he a virgin? Google says yes.
Okay, well, Google says a lot of things, Chris. You can't believe everything you read on the internet.
Dude, you know what broke my heart the other day? And this is a shout out to, this will be quick, to all my music nerds out there. There's like one of the first like fun facts on learning music theory that every music, I'm putting the beer down.
Guetta
just to-
is gay.
Well, no, it's theory. It's not about a fucking artist. But I mean, you're right. But it's so there's this thing called the fucking tritone, where it's a sixth apart, and on its own, it's like the most, like, it's one of the most dissonant sound. Like, it just sounds eerie. If I played it, you'd be like, "Eey, does not sound good." And it's because they're a sixth apart. So every piano teacher ever in the history of ever has been like, did you know during the medieval times the tritone was banned because it is a sixth apart and 6 equals. And then I saw a video from someone who does like music stuff, who I watch all the time. I think his name is Adam Neely.
Yes, Adam Neely. Yeah, I'm subscribed to him.
Yeah.
good stuff.
He's really fucking cool. He posted this video. He's like busting the biggest myth in the history of music. And he's just like, yeah, no, this is just fucking wrong. Like, here are all these examples of people using the tritone in medieval music. I'm like, it shook me to my core, because I've been told that by so many people. I hate when like like cool fun facts that like everyone like knows is like suddenly wrong. Like
Yeah.
I am genuinely if Isaac Newton fucked dudes, then fuck him. Not because he fucked dudes, but because I wish he never fucked anyone.
Because I just wish you were a virgin, dude.
Yeah, it'd be so much funnier. Just like I don't fuck like there's so many. Yeah, dude. Because then in my head I could be like, ooh, the dude he invented calculus, but whatever, he died a virgin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because at least in my head I'm like, all right, I'm better than Isaac Newton in that aspect of my life.
This is why Camus is objectively the most Chad philosopher of the 20th century.
He has a gay name. If you have silent letters in your fucking name,
He's French. It's not his fault. Don't blame him.
I blame French people.
Okay,
French
yeah,
people and Italian
blame
people
French
I blame for
Don't-
being
don't
French.
blame Camus. But, like, Camus fucked. And
French motherfuckers fuck. All you gotta do is put a cigarette in your mouth.
he did.
Then you can just
His
fuck
whole
nonstop.
his whole thing was like in response to the whole like, oh, life is meaningless. He was just like, yeah, and what are you gonna do about it? That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
Chad
if that's your mentality and you're smoking a cig, automatically so. Dude, why is it with like fucking like Baba Trishas, dude? They love a dude with a cig.
They
All
love a
you
dude
can
with a
be
cig.
overweight, kind of greasy. You whip out a cig, and the trick is like. You can never like just whip it out in front of someone. You have to be smoking like as they walk by you.
You know why that is? You can't spell pop without smoke.
R.I.P. R.I.P. to the goat.
R.I.P. to the goat. I'm gonna start
Damn,
doing
bro.
the Catholic cross in the bar.
If I ever got that famous, bro, I'm gonna fake my own death and then just come back and be the Super Bowl.
Dude, just like Elvis.
Yeah, dude. Just like fucking. Was it you who sent me the text? It was like, what if fucking Tupac came at the Super Bowl halftime show? What if
it might have been.
What if they brought him back with all the other like
Dude, they brought him
2000s,
back.
90s rappers or whatever? He was just one of the. No one said
That'd be
anything.
Incredible.
He was just
And they
one of them.
Like wheeled them out. Is like, yeah, I'm actually still alive. Anyway, after this, I'm going back to Cuba. That'd be dope.
Dude, if I were him, I would not sign up for that. You have to go live in Cuba? I mean, maybe
Cuba?
maybe Cuba's got it figured out. Maybe it's a fun time.
Cuba's not bad, dude. Cuba has a higher literacy rate than the United States.
Yeah, no, I anytime I see Cuba, I disengage because I hate the discourse on it so much that it's just like any conservative out there ever will be like, "Oh, socialism bad," and like socialists will fucking be like,
actually Cuba.
will be like,
Yeah.
Cuba good owned, and just like I get I'm probably like I probably like I do agree with the lefties, and I'm sure if I put in the time to fucking study it, I would agree with a lot of the things they're saying. But it's I don't fucking know, man. I just get so bored. It's like the fucking Hitler discourse where fucking Steven Crowder and the Ben Shapiro's of the world are like, I'm actually the fucking Nationalist Socialist Party. And it's like, okay.
They're actually socialist. You can tell because they have socialist in the name.
Yeah, it's like, well, actually, Democrats are the racists because Lincoln was a Republican. It's the same, like...
Yeah, it's
dude,
the same, like literally, like 50
Put me to
IQ
fucking
takes.
sleep.
Yeah.
Like,
Ugh.
yeah, speaking of which, have you seen, I forget what the connection was. Someone drew a connection between this election and the first one after Truman took office. And I can't remember what it was. But it had something to do with just like the state of American discourse or whatever. And I thought that the analogy held up. And like, point being is that I think Dems are going to get absolutely fucked in November. I think they're going to get railed in the ass.
I think Biden's going to cancel student debt, and I think that's going to save him.
Who's it going to save him from? Young people don't vote.
Oh, that's a good point. All right, it won't
Particularly
save him
not
from
in
anyway.
off-year elections. Dems don't show up in off-year
That's true.
elections.
That's true. Yeah.
We don't care.
No.
We like to announce to the world that we don't like Donald Trump, but actually fixing things.
Yeah, but
that's
then
too much.
actually,
That's too
like,
much. That's too
like,
much work.
Like midterm show up and it's like, electoral politics is actually a sham. Bitch, shut the fuck up. Like,
they're the same motherfuckers who don't know that there's a goddamn election.
Yeah.
I don't like Trump. Trump bad. No, Trump is epic. if the first word to describe Trump out of someone's mouth is not epic, then I don't want to hear. I don't want to like.
Trump
hang out with them.
Trump is epic and bad, but he is epic. He is the most epic president.
Yeah.
Do you follow? Do you follow Renegade Cut on YouTube?
No.
You should. He's goated with the sauce. But one of his theses post Trump was like the office of president is like fundamentally fucked up, and we should not have this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do we have a fucking president? What's the
I
goddamn
don't
point?
know, dude. We need to distribute.
We
this
should
more
make the president more like, and not call them king or queen, because I hate that. I fucking.
It's so
I
fucking
hate
lame, dude. The British are so
Americans
fucking lame.
who like oh my gosh, did you see the latest drama with the fucking monarchy? And I'm like, you
should Roblox
the same
yourself,
motherfuckers
honest
who
to
are
God.
like, oh my god, Trump is like, probably even worse than Hitler if we're being honest. Like the same motherfuckers will be like, oh my god, Queen Elizabeth. Monarchies are bad, people. Wait, can we agree on
Monarch's
that?
bad. If you don't agree with that, Roblox yourself.
But I think that basically, I think that they should be elected, so it's not like a monarchical system.
Yeah.
But I think that the president should have the same amount of like actual political power as the Queen of England.
Yeah, you just want a figurehead.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Someone who's there as like the fucking.
It's like, it's the guy.
They show up
but,
at
like,
all
that's
the.
the extent of
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Then, I could just laugh at the Donald. I could just laugh,
Dude,
I mean, not really, because it would still fuck up for him.
Did you see his fucking fumble today?
Today? No.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
What did he do today?
He just it's something along the lines of like, America is he just like he has a complete like brain collapse because Biden's brain at this point is like scrambled eggs. But
They're gonna have him on so many uppers for the. Dude. I am so excited for the debates.
we are
It is outrageous. Joe's gonna lose it. They're gonna cross a line where they put him on so many uppers. He's gonna start being like. He's gonna do what what the Noah has been calling for years, which was Noah said, "I will vote for Joe Biden if he can prove that he's as epic as Trump. The only way he can do so is by calling Pete Buttigieg a faggot."
Bleep that. That would be huge if true, dude.
Okay, no, I laugh at because of how obviously not okay it is to say that, but like it it's like the state of like the only way for Joe to like get the number of clicks on like people only care if a president says that's what Trump did. That's the real Trump effect. Is people really only care if you say something that
crazy shit. Yeah.
Like Joe routinely does kind of have slip ups that are like
But it's like it's a slip up. You're like, meh.
But
okay.
he never like just like agree. Like Trump would just like
we need Joe to go like Buttigieg will say something and he'll go, "Don't care, didn't ask, plus you're gay," and then like just keep talking.
Yeah, and then but he has to be like, well, look, I love the gays. I love gay people.
Love gay
but
people.
Pete Buttigieg, man, he's
Some
such
of
a
the best people.
Goddamn, fuck. I'm not gonna say the word again, but he's that.
Which
I don't know. I'd rather have fucking politicians just up there. I want to get rid of this like expectations that like politicians speak. Like I just want it gone.
Yeah, that's a mixed bag. But I mostly also I gotta pee real quick.
Yeah, go take a piss.
Can you just vamp on the mic? Just like be entertaining.
I keep wanting to, but I know that I can't. Talking to the mic on your own is really fucking hard.